And good evening and welcome from Eddie Edgar Ice Arena in Livonia, Michigan for this matchup between Huron Skyline of Ann Arbor and Grosse Pointe South. This is the semifinal, and prior to this game, University Liggett beat Livonia United 8-1. So the net result is the winner of this game will face Liggett, University Liggett on Saturday at 2 p.m. Both teams out on the ice doing warm-ups. Got about a minute left, and then we will have the announcement of the starting. Until then, bring you some more music. This is James Wiseman, Arbor Broadcasting. And again, good evening from the Eddie Edgar Ice Arena in Livonia, Michigan. 15 minutes up on the board. We're pleased to bring you tonight's matchup between Ann Arbor's Huron Skyline and Grosse Pointe South. Huron Skyline at 21-1 will be facing Grosse Pointe 14-3, 1-1. Liggett won the previous game, and we are getting ready for player introduction. Huron Skyline played Mercy earlier, and they won, bringing them here. Meanwhile, Grosse Pointe South beat Livonia United. Grosse Pointe South is the guest tonight. Number 12, Grosse Pointe, Clyde Calvier. Number 19, Olivia Bowler. Number 14, Ellie Smith. Number 77, Alia Oske. And number 13, Sophia Reynolds. And in goal, number 21, Rosie Smith. And the rest of the Grosse Pointe South. Ann Arbor Huron. Number 8, Charlotte Peabody. I'm sorry. Number 28, Aubrey Wells. On defense, number 22, on defense, Hodge. Defense, number 3, Healthshields. In goal, number 29, Dominique Dayon. And now the national anthem. "15 minutes up on the board. 15 minutes up on the board. We're getting ready for Grosse Pointe South versus Huron Skyline. Huron Skyline, the Huskies, gathered around their goal, while Grosse Pointe gathers around their bench. The semifinal, the winner of this game faces University Liggett at 2 o'clock right here in Eddie Edgar. And here come the teams, and here we go. And the referee checks with the 2 goalies. We're ready to go. And Ann Arbor grabs the puck, brings it down into the Grosse Pointe. Shot and a glove save. By Smith. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end. Battle for it. Grosse Pointe finally grabs it, rims it around, and out into the neutral zone. Battle, race for it. Grosse Pointe knocks it in the Ann Arbor end. Now back behind the goal. Around the boards. Out. Ann Arbor coming down along the far boards into the Grosse Pointe end. Grosse Pointe pulls it away. In the far corner. Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Centers it up. Coming out. Knocks it back. Ann Arbor coming, centers it up, and a shot and a save. Covered up by Smith. Face off in the far face-off circle. Grosse Pointe end. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off, but knocked away by Grosse Pointe. Knocked back in, back out in the neutral zone, picked up by Ann Arbor. Grosse Pointe jumps on it, down in the Ann Arbor end along the near boards. Behind the goal, around the far boards. Trying to knock it back out in the neutral zone, scrum for it. Ann Arbor jumps on it, through the neutral zone. Lost it, gained it, gains the Grosse Pointe zone. Here comes Ann Arbor, shot, knocked away. Another shot. Off the skates. And a wraparound. And a scrum in front of the goalie and a whistle. Covered up by Smith. Both teams change. 13-11 left in the first. 0-0 is our score. Face-off in the near face-off circle. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Cross-ice pass into the far corner. Knocked back out in the neutral zone. Shot back. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe. Into the Ann Arbor. Race for it. Into the far corner. Ann Arbor grabs it around. Into the near boards. Battle for it along the boards. Around the boards. Shot. Grosse Pointe centering pass. Knocked away by Ann Arbor. Knocked back. Battle for it. Loose puck. Back into the near corner. Grabbed by Ann Arbor's defense. Rims around. Brought out into the neutral zone. A race for it. Grosse Pointe gets there first. Into the Grosse Pointe. Knocked back in the neutral zone. And a shot just wide. Sticked away by the Ann Arbor goalie. Here comes Ann Arbor. Into the neutral zone. In a rush. Sets up. Knocked away. Into the near corner. Battle for it along the boards. Ann Arbor has it. Centers it up at the top of the key. Now around to the side. Around behind the goal. Ann Arbor still has it. Battle for it behind the goal. Grabbed. Still for a battle. Loose puck. Jumped on and a whistle, and we have tripping. So at 11:38. We have a penalty. And into the box goes Grosse Pointe. Number 27, O'Donoghue. So, Ann Arbor on the power play. Knocked around. Grabbed in the far corner. Rimmed back around. Grabbed behind the goal. Centered up. Right through the crease. Along the boards and cleared back out down into the Ann Arbor end. A race for it. Behind the goal. Grosse Pointe gets there first. Tries to center it up. Knocked out. Held in at the point. Ann Arbor jumps on it. Into the neutral zone. Gains the zone. Racing for it into the corner. Grosse Pointe held in at the side. And a shot. And a knocked away. And now a battle for it. Back. Rims around. Picked up by Ann Arbor behind the goal. Brought back out. Ann Arbor on the power play. A minute left in the power play. 10:39 left in the period. Shot. Knocked away again by the Grosse Pointe goalie, Smith. Grosse Pointe grabs it. Loses it. Two go down in a scrum. Back out in the neutral zone and a shot wide of the Ann Arbor goal. Ann Arbor jumps on it. Here come the Huskies. Over to the centers. to the side. Off the boards, held in at the point. Back along the boards, near boards. Centering pass, shot, knocked away, pad save. Held in again, and a whistle. And I believe we have offsides. So face-off will be just outside the Grosse Pointe zone, far face-off circle. With 9:49 left and 12 seconds left in the power play for Ann Arbor. Knocked back in the Ann Arbor zone, picked up. Behind the Ann Arbor goal. Brought back out. And both teams back at full strength. Ann Arbor has it in the Grosse Pointe zone. Centering pass, rink wide, cross, no one there. Shot, knocked, blocked by Skates. Back, dribbles back behind the Grosse Pointe zone goal. Grosse Pointe grabs it. Ann Arbor on the change. Held in at the blue line by Ann Arbor. Along the boards. Off the back of the goal, backhanded, knocked away. Grosse Pointe shoots it out, but held in yet. Rink wide pass, Grosse Pointe grabs it at the far boards. Grabbed at the red line, center ice. Grosse Pointe grabs it again, brings it into the Ann Arbor zone, lost it. Shot, knocked away by Dayon. Here comes Ann Arbor. Again, back into the neutral zone. Gains the Grosse Pointe zone. Along the near boards, off the boards, held in at the point. Battle for it along the boards. About 6 players chasing the puck. Ann Arbor, no, now Grosse Pointe shoots it out. And another race. Ann Arbor gets there first. Off the boards. Grosse Pointe grabs it. Ann Arbor has it again. Brings it out. And we have a whistle and a penalty. Tripping will be the call. And into the box goes number 27 from Grosse Pointe, and that'll be O'Donohue. So at 8 minutes left, Ann Arbor on the power play again, the Huskies. Huskies grab the face-off. Bring it back out to the point, and a shot. Knocked away by Smith. Battle for it along the boards. Held in by Ann Arbor. Another centering pass. Shot, grabbed by Smith. And she holds on. 1:41 left in the power play. 7:41 left in the period. The Huskies of Ann Arbor 0. Grosse Pointe South 0. Face-off in the far face-off circle. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off again. Back to the point. Back to the on the side. Shot and a glove save by Smith again. 1:32 left in the power play. 0-0 is our score at 7:31 left in the first. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Rimmed around the back. Held in at the point again. Battle for it in the near corner. Ann Arbor knocked back and down the length of the ice, rimmed around behind the Ann Arbor goal. Picked up by Ann Arbor again. Brought forward into the neutral zone. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Brings it back into Ann Arbor. Pulls it away. Here come the Huskies again. Into the Grosse Pointe zone. Shot. Knocked away. Save by Smith again. Behind the goal. Picked up by Grosse Pointe, trying to get rid of it. Held in again. Grosse Pointe knocks it away. Dribbles back out in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Touched up. Shot high over the head of Smith. Held in at the far boards. In the corner. Ann Arbor still on the power play. 27 seconds left and a whistle. And Smith has the puck in her glove. 26 seconds left at 6:25 left in the first. Ann Arbor grabs the faceoff again. Across into the near circle. Along the boards, held in at the point. Shot back along the boards. Tries to center it up and knocked out the length of the ice back into the Ann Arbor zone. Behind the Ann Arbor goal. Here comes the Huskies again. And both teams at full strength. Ann Arbor centers it up. Cross-wide pass. Held in, grabbed by Ann Arbor behind the goal. Held in by the blue line. Shot, dribbles back out into the neutral zone. Center ice, into the Ann Arbor zone. Battle for it along the far boards. Grosse Pointe comes away with it, but shoots it back into the neutral zone, back into their zone. Back out to center ice, grabbed by Ann Arbor. Along the far boards, battle for it. Shot back in, held in at the point, knocked away by Smith. Good stick save. Battle behind the net. Ann Arbor comes away with it. Dribbles through the crease, grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Grosse Pointe gains the Ann Arbor zone. Now battle for it along the near boards. Centering pass, rink wide, back into the neutral zone, center ice. Shot back and knocked away by Dion. Behind, grabbed by Ann Arbor. Back in the neutral zone. Dribbles back into the Grosse Pointe end. Off the boards. Battle for it in the neutral zone. Into the Ann Arbor end. Shot back along the boards. Grosse Pointe. Shot. Knocked away by the defense. Another shot goes wide. Knocked behind the boards. Rims around. Picked up by Ann Arbor. Here they come. Into the neutral zone. Gains the Grosse Pointe zone. Knocked away. Grosse Pointe knocks it back. Clears the zone. Ann Arbor knocks it back in again. Grosse Pointe intercepts. Back in the Ann Arbor end to race for it. Grabbed. Ann Arbor player loses an edge. Centered up. Ann Arbor grabs it again. Here they come. Along the near boards. Knocked back out. And back out in the neutral zone. Picked up by the Huskies. Here they come again. Into Grosse Pointe end. Knocked away by the defense. Held in at the point by Ann Arbor. And a shot. Pad save. Knocked away. Centered up. Another shot. High and glove save. 3:02 left in the first. 0-0 is our score. Both teams change. Face-off in the far face-off circle. In the Grosse Pointe end. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Battle along the boards. Now Grosse Pointe has it. Out in the neutral zone. Center ice. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Spin around. Brings it forward. Off the boards into Grosse Pointe end. Out in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Knocked away and picked up by Ann Arbor. Brings it behind their goal. Brings it forward. Intercepted by Grosse Pointe. Knocked away. And there's a whistle. And we have tripping again. And into the box goes Ann Arbor. At 2:26. 2:28. Number 8 for Ann Arbor. 2 minutes for tripping. Grosse Pointe. And a score. So at 2:20, Grosse Pointe goal, scored by number 8. .220 left in the first. Grosse Pointe 1, the Huskies 0. Face-off grab by Ann Arbor. Then jumped on. Battle for it. Back into the Grosse Pointe end. Knocked forward. Grab by Ann Arbor. Back around. Grosse Pointe has it. Rims it around along the near boards. Ann Arbor holds it in at the point. Battle for it along the near corner. Battle continuing to fight, held in at the point. Centering pass, jumped on by Grosse Pointe. Here they come. And a shot, and a score. So at 1:33, Grosse Pointe goal. Scored by number 27. And we have a penalty. So with 1:30, Grosse Pointe penalty number 8. Ann Arbor on the power play. Ann Arbor grabs the puck. No, Ann Arbor, or Grosse Pointe on the power play, pardon me. Puck shot the length of the ice. 1:30 left in the penalty to the Huskies. Grosse Pointe on the power play. Puck's cleared behind the Grosse Pointe goal. 44 seconds left in the period. Shot back out. Here comes Grosse Pointe, but knocked away by the Huskies. Grosse Pointe tries again. Knocked away. 31 seconds left in the period. 58 seconds left in the penalty. Ann Arbor has it. Knocked away. Taken off the puck. 18 seconds. Battle for it. Rimmed around by the Ann Arbor players. Behind the Grosse Pointe goal. Picked off in the near corner. Centering pass. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Held in at the blue line. And there's the whistle. So at the end of 1, It's Grosse Pointe 2. Ann Arbor, Huron Skyline 0. Both teams gathered around their bench. There will be 30 seconds left in the Grosse Pointe power play when we come back. So basically, we started at 11:38 with a penalty to Grosse Pointe tripping. Another Grosse Pointe penalty for tripping at 8. An Ann Arbor penalty at 2:28, tripping, and a Grosse Pointe goal, power play goal at 2:20, scored by number 8, Peabody. And then a Grosse Pointe goal at 1:33, scored by number 27, O'Donoghue, with an assist to number 8, Peabody. Ann Arbor penalty has 30 seconds left. Both teams gathered around their benches, getting strategy for the next period. Remember, the winner faces University Liggett on Saturday at 2 p.m. right here at Eddie Edgar. We will bring you that game. Both goalies back down to their respective nets. We're ready to go. Second period. 15 minutes up on the board. Ann Arbor grabs and now grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Tangling in the near corner. Rimmed around. Held into the point by Grosse Pointe. Shot. Dribbles through behind the goal. Ann Arbor grabs it. Held in at the point by Grosse Pointe. Bounce off the back. 6 seconds left in the power play. Off the boards. Ann Arbor tries to clear back in the corner. Both teams at full strength. 14:23 left in the second. Grosse Pointe has it in their zone. Battle for it. Picked up by Grosse Pointe again along the far boards. Up along the boards. Along the near boards. Battle. Behind the goal. Grosse Pointe. There's a scrum behind the goal. A whole pile of players. Puck is loose. Still battling. Huskies grab it. And a shot. And a save by Smith. Face-off in the far face-off circle. Smith gloved it. So 13:43 left in the second. Grosse Pointe 2. Huron Skyline 0. Puck drop. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Now picked up by the Huskies. Shot. And a glove save again. 13:36 left in the second. Grosse Pointe 2. Huron Skyline 0. Face-off in the near face-off circle. Grosse Pointe. Picked by Ann Arbor behind the goal. Along the far boards. Battle for it. Grosse Pointe knocks it out. Into the neutral zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Into the Huron Skyline end. Dribbles back out. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Knocked back. Picked up at their blue line. Back into the Ann Arbor end. Grabbed by the Huskies. Behind their goal. Shot across the board. Back into the neutral zone. And shot right back in by Grosse Pointe. And a whistle. And I believe that will be icing. 12:53 left in the second. Face off in the far face-off circle, Grosse Pointe end. Grosse Pointe comes away with it. Shoots at the length of the ice. And that will be icing. Puck picked up by the ref. And again, a face-off in the far face-off circle, Grosse Pointe end. 12:42 left in the second. Puck dropped, picked up by Grosse Pointe. Battle for it. Ann Arbor has it. Battle. Ann Arbor knocks it back into the neutral zone. Brings it back around. Ann Arbor had to touch up. Lost it. And a whistle. And we have offsides. Face off in the near face-off circle. No. Face off at center ice. 12:25 left. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Knocked away. Battle for it at the blue line. Into the Grosse Pointe end. Centering pass. Knocked away. Stick save. Held in by Ann Arbor at the point. Knocked away again by Grosse Pointe. Knocked off the skates. Grosse Pointe picks it up in front of their goal. Off the near boards. Cross ice pass. Jumped on by Ann Arbor. Battle along the boards. Into the Grosse Pointe zone. Ann Arbor has it. Shot and a glove save by Smith. 11:46 left in the second. Both teams change. Face off in the far face-off circle. Grosse Pointe end. Grosse Pointe 2, the Huskies 0. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Held in at the blue line. High. Shot high. Shot back in the neutral zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Into the Ann Arbor zone. Along the far near boards. Along the back. Battle for it along the back boards. Dribbles out. Picked up by Ann Arbor behind their goal. Brings it out. Into the neutral zone. Ann Arbor grabs it again. Gains the Grosse Pointe zone. Into and behind the goal. Grab, tries for a wraparound, knocked away. Ann Arbor jumps on it. Centering pass, shot, knocked away. Held in at the blue line, another shot. Hits an Ann Arbor player, knocked away. Around the back, battle for it. Far corner, Grosse Pointe has it, trying to clear the zone. Picked away by Ann Arbor. Shot, and knocked away again. Held in at the point. Another shot, knocked away by Smith. Ann Arbor still held in at the point. And dribbles back into the neutral zone. Shot deep into the Grosse Pointe zone. Rims around behind the boards, far corner. Held in at the far point. Ann Arbor shot and another glove save by Smith. So 10:16 left in the second. Grosse Pointe South 2. Huron, Skyline, the Huskies 0. Face off, Grosse Pointe end. Far as face off circle. Battle for it. In the circle. Grabbed by Ann Arbor behind the goal. Shoots it back. Held in at the point, but dribbles back in the neutral zone. A race for it. Gathered up. Grosse Pointe has it. In the Ann Arbor zone. Knocked away. Along the far boards. Battle for it. Right where the Zamboni is. Big battle. And finally loosened into the neutral zone. Loose puck. Being chased by Grosse Pointe. In their zone. back into the center ice. Here comes Grosse Pointe, knocked back. Gathers it up again. Ann Arbor grabs it into the Grosse Pointe zone but loses it. Grosse Pointe brings it back through the neutral zone into the Huskies' end, knocked back again. And the Huskies have to touch up. Behind the Husky end, Grosse Pointe. Back out, Huskies have it. Knocked away. Shot deep into the Grosse Pointe end. Battle along the boards, far boards, along the near shot from the point. Pad save. Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Tries to clear the zone. And they do. Cross pass, but jumped on by Huron Skyline. Now behind the goal. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe again, trying to clear their zone. Ann Arbor grabs it. Across, off the boards, in the neutral zone. Back into the Grosse Pointe end. Rims around. Grosse Pointe brings it behind their goal. Off the boards. Centered up. Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Here comes a rush from Grosse Pointe into the Ann Arbor end. Along the boards. Grab by the Ann Arbor defense. Brought around. Held in at the blue line. At the point. Back out in the neutral zone. Ann Arbor's got it. Shot. Knocked to pad save by Smith. Held in again. And back in the Ann Arbor end. Knocked away. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Back in the neutral zone. Here they come. Grabs the Grosse Pointe zone. And behind. Ridden off the puck. Grosse Pointe knocks it back out in the neutral zone. Huskies grab it, bring it back. And a shot, drop pass, and a save. Battle for it along the far boards. In the Grosse Pointe end. Rims around behind the goal, picked up by Ann Arbor, shot back out, held in at the point. Here comes knocked back, Ann Arbor grabs it again. Knocked down, loses an edge along the far boards. And they both fall down. Grosse Pointe grabs it, held, grabbed by Ann Arbor at center ice. Here they come again. And a shot, right off Smith. Another wraparound shot right through the crease. Another one. Smith is being peppered, but she has so far not let in a goal. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe in the Ann Arbor end. Tries for a centering pass and knocked back. And the length of the ice, it will have a whistle, and that's icing. So we have 6:04 left in the second. It's Grosse Pointe 2. The Huskies of Huron Skyline 0. Face off on the Huron Skyline end. Near face-off circle. Puck drop. And Grosse Pointe, 2 shots knocked away by Dion in the near corner. Battle for it. Back out, held in at the point. Battle right at the blue line. Dribbles back into the neutral zone. Battle for it. Right across the blue line and back. Back in the neutral zone, knocked back into the Grosse Pointe end. Here comes, but lost the puck. Grosse Pointe centers it out. Out of their zone, back in, along the boards. Shot, cross ice pass. Grabbed at center ice. Grosse Pointe tries to set up a rush. Here they come. Knocked back in the Ann Arbor zone. Picked up behind the goal and rimmed around. knocked forward, grabbed it, neutral ice, and back. Battle for it, and Grosse Pointe has it in the Ann Arbor zone. And ridden off the puck into the far corner. Rimmed around behind the goal, picked up by Ann Arbor. Held in at the point by Grosse Pointe. Back into the near corner. Battle for it. Back out. Back into the neutral zone. Grabbed by Ann Arbor, here they come. Into Grosse Pointe zone. Cross ice pass, knocked away. Now in the far corner, rimmed around, held in by at the point, dribbles out and back into the neutral zone. Center ice, into the Ann Arbor zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Centering pass. Another centering pass, knocked away. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Clears the zone. Dribbles back, gathered by Grosse Pointe. And back in the Ann Arbor zone, knocked back in the neutral zone. Ann Arbor sets up a rush, shot, and sticked away by Smith. In the far near corner, comes around, battle for it. Ann Arbor has it again. Tries, held in at the point, back. Cleared out into the neutral zone and shot back deep into the Grosse Pointe end. Rims around to the far corner. Battle for it there. Ann Arbor grabs it. Centers it up. Tries a shot. Knocked away. Blocked by the skate. Ann Arbor battling for it at center ice. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Along the far boards. Grabbed by Ann Arbor again. Back into this. A rolling puck on its edge. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. In their zone, back out, down the length of the ice, and this should be, well, icing waved away. Battle for it in the far corner, behind, around the new corner, brought back out by Ann Arbor, centers it up into the Grosse Pointe end, ridden off the puck into the near corner, centers it up, Grosse Pointe knocks it away, held in. Knocked back out, picked up by Ann Arbor at their blue line. Brought back, here comes Ann Arbor, drains the zone. Shot wide into the near corner. Shot back. Along the boards, Grosse Pointe has it, brings it up. Held in by Ann Arbor, who knocks it back in the Grosse Pointe end. Ann Arbor goes for a change. Knocked out, Grosse Pointe has it. Tries to clear the zone. Grabbed by the neutral zone by Ann Arbor. Back. Over the blue line. Back in the neutral zone. Here comes Ann Arbor again. The Huskies. Stick, shot, and a scrum in front of the goal. Puck's loose and knocked away. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Out. Into the Ann Arbor zone. Ridden off the puck. Scrum along the near boards. Ann Arbor picks it up. Back in the neutral zone. Here comes Ann Arbor. Into the Grosse Pointe zone. Tries to center it up. Centering pass. Grab behind the goal. Ann Arbor. Grosse Pointe knocks it away and brings it back into the neutral zone. 1 minute. 1 minute left in the first. Shot. And Dion covers it up. No, it's loose. And down the length of the ice, and that will be icing. So 49.7 seconds left in the second. Grosse Pointe South 2. The Huskies of Huron Skyline 0. Face-off in the Huron Skyline end. In the near face-off circle. 49 seconds left in the period. In the far corner. Knocked back. Back in the neutral zone. Ann Arbor grabs it, brings it into the Grosse Pointe zone. Shot knocked away. Knocked away by Smith. Wrap around. And a pile and a whistle. It appears the net is off its moorings in the Grosse Pointe end. 30 seconds left in the first. Grosse Pointe 2. Huron Skyline 0. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end. Far face off circle. Grosse Pointe grabs the face off, tries to clear the zone. Knocked back. Right across the goal mouth. Knocked away. Knocked back by Smith. Another pad save. Back off the boards into the Ann Arbor zone. Cross ice pass. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. 4 seconds left. Ann Arbor grabs it, tries to clear the zone, and there's the buzzer. So, at the end of 2, it's Grosse Pointe South 2, Huron, Skyline, the Huskies from Ann Arbor 0. We will be back. Both teams going to the locker room. We will have the Zambonis out, and we will have the all-important third period. Very quickly, at 11:38, a penalty against Grosse Pointe for tripping. Another Grosse Pointe penalty at 8 for tripping. Ann Arbor penalty at 2:28 for tripping. And a Grosse Pointe goal at 2:20. Power play goal. And finally, a Grosse Pointe goal at 1:33. That's all in the first. That was their 2 points. Another Ann Arbor penalty. And in general, no more scoring in the second. And here come the Zambonis. We'll bring you some music. We will be back with the all-important third period, live from Eddie Edgar Ice Arena in Livonia, Michigan. welcome back to Eddie Edgar Ice Arena in Livonia, Michigan for this game between Grosse Pointe South and Huron Skyline Huskies of Ann Arbor. Well, the Zamboni got a little bit of a late start. The Huskies are back out in their bench, and we're waiting for the ice to be finished. And we will have the all-important third period. So in the first period, Grosse Pointe managed to score 2 goals, although they had the fewest shots on goal, Ann Arbor having a lot more shots on goal, but nothing managed to get past Smith. So now we have 15 minutes up on the board. The Zamboni is just about done, and we should have the third period momentarily. Well, let's play a little more sound, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Zamboni has finished their work. Both teams are back out on the ice. Grosse Pointe is skating around. Grosse Pointe is up 2-0 on Huron Skyline. Both teams gathered around their bench for last-minute instructions. This is the all-important third period. The winner of this game on Saturday at 2 p.m. will bring you that game. Will face University Liggett, who won 8-1 against Livonia United earlier this evening. Okay, here come the teams. 15 minutes up on the board. We're ready to go. Huron Skyline breaks their huddle. Dion skates out. Smith to her goal on the left. And we're ready to drop the puck. Grosse Pointe grabs the puck, but lost it to the Huskies. The Huskies grab it, bringing it down. and clear the zone. Behind, centering pass, knocked away. Shot from the point, shot wide by the Huskies. Another shot, knocked away by Smith. And a shot and a cover up by Smith, and we will have a face-off. In the near face-off circle, Grosse Pointe end. 14:26 left in the third. Grosse Pointe up by 2. 2-0. All important third period. Puck drop, grabbed by Grosse Pointe, but knocked away. Scrum along the boards. Held in, knocked back, another shot, and out into the neutral zone. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe, but held in by the Huskies. Brought back in, but knocked out. And back into the Ann Arbor zone. Chased down, off the boards, brought back, but held in by Grosse Pointe. In the far corner, brought back. Ann Arbor jumps on it again, out into the neutral zone. Length of the ice, and icing waved off. Grosse Pointe brings it back out into the neutral zone. Knocked back in by Ann Arbor into the near corner. Battle, race for it. Now a battle, centering pass, rink wide. Nobody there. Now along the far boards. Ann Arbor grabs it, but knocked out into the neutral zone. Ann Arbor grabs it, knocks it back. Picked up again. Here comes Ann Arbor. Over, and a whistle, and we have offsides. 13:07 left in the third. Grosse Pointe 2. Huron Skyline 0. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Back into the Grosse Pointe end. Rimmed around behind the goal. Picked up by Grosse Pointe. Rimmed around but held in at the point, and a shot. Off the skates. Dribbles back. Ann Arbor has to touch up. Back into the far boards. Grosse Pointe grabs it, bringing it out. Into the neutral zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Grabbed by another player. Held in. Centering pass. Shot. Knocked away by Ann Arbor. Here they come. Through the neutral zone into the Grosse Pointe end. Rims around deep, and Grosse Pointe picks it up behind their goal. Around. Held in at the side. Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Back in the neutral zone. Ridden off the puck by the Huskies. Brought back out in the neutral zone, off the boards and into the Grosse Pointe end, but brought back out again. Battle for it in the neutral zone. Puck's loose. Ann Arbor has it back in the neutral zone. Knocked away. Ann Arbor grabs it again into the Grosse Pointe end. Rimmed around behind the Grosse Pointe goal. Off the boards, off the glass. Grabbed by a Husky. Grosse Pointe steals it away. Knocked away. Grabbed by a Husky again. And a shot. And a score! (11:26). And score by Hodge. Face-off grab by Grosse Pointe. Knocked back into the Grosse Pointe end. Back in the Ann Arbor zone behind the goal. Ann Arbor has it. Bring it out along the boards. Into the neutral zone. Shot back. and a whistle. And we have offsides. So at 11:26, it is now 2-1. Grosse Pointe 2, Huron Skyline 1. Face off outside the Ann Arbor zone, picked up by Grosse Pointe, but jumped on by Ann Arbor. Grosse Pointe grabs it again. Lost it. Picked it up, shot down toward and knocked away by Deon. In the Ann Arbor zone, held in at the point by Grosse Pointe. Knocked out. Another shot by the other point. Grosse Pointe shoots wide. Along the far boards in the corner. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe. Another shot just wide and over the bar. And back out in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe at center ice. Ann Arbor now. Held away by Grosse Pointe. Fight for it at center ice. Loose puck. Ann Arbor grabbed it. Into the Grosse Pointe zone. Redden off the puck. Spin around. Tries to center it. Scrum in front. Off pad save by Smith. Around the boards. Centered up. Shot from the circle. Back in the neutral zone. Picked up by Ann Arbor. Cross ice pass. Back along. Just outside the blue line. In the neutral zone. Battle for it along the boards. Knocked away. Back in the Ann Arbor zone. Chased down. Ann Arbor brings it around. And back out. Into the neutral zone. Here come the Huskies. Clear the zone. And around behind. Grosse Pointe has it. Knocks it back out. Length of the ice. And we have a whistle and we have icing. So at 8:58, it's Grosse Pointe 2, Huron Skyline 1. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end, near face off circle. Out to take the face off for Huron Skyline, Marks. Puck drop. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Centering up. Nobody. Cross ice pass. Held in at the point, but it dribbles out. Picked up by Ann Arbor. And shot back into Grosse Pointe end. Cleared. Grabbed by Ann Arbor again. They have to touch up. Back in the Ann Arbor zone. Brought back. Held in at center ice. Grosse Pointe grabs it at the far ice. Into the Ann Arbor zone. In the far corner, rims around behind. Rim back out, but held in by Grosse Pointe. Ann Arbor clears the zone. Dribbles back. Grabbed by the Grosse Pointe. The Ann Arbor grabs it, brings it back in, and loses it. They have to touch up. Huskies grab it. They lost an edge. Around behind the goal. Here comes Ann Arbor again. Huskies hold it in, but Ann Arbor brings it out. Off the near boards. Rims it around behind the Grosse Pointe goal. Along the far boards in the far corner. Battle for it along the boards. Several players lose an edge. Held in at the point. Shot back and back in the neutral zone. Shot back in the Grosse Pointe end. Battle for it at the blue line. And off the boards behind the Grosse Pointe goal. Grosse Pointe picks it up. Out in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor knocks it back. Grosse Pointe shoots it back out. Grabbed it at the Ann Arbor's blue line. Here comes the Huskies. Into Grosse Pointe territory. Shot way high off the glass. Back out in the neutral zone. Shot back by the Huskies. Held in. Here comes, and a shot, and glove save by Smith. 6:42 left in the third. Grosse Pointe 2, Huron, Skyline 1. And a face-off in the far face-off circle in the Grosse Pointe end. And Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Shot into the far corner. Behind, Ann Arbor grabs it, tries for a wraparound. Stolen away, and a whistle. And the net is off its moorings. Face-off will be in the far face-off circle, Grosse Pointe end. 6:32 left. Grosse Pointe 2. Huron Skyline 1. Oh, looks like Grosse Pointe has one too many players. They are clear. And here we go. Held in by Ann Arbor at the blue line. Lost again. Grosse Pointe grabs it. Brings it out into the neutral zone. Jumped on by Ann Arbor. Brought back into the near corner. Rims around behind the goal. Along the boards. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Shot out. And a whistle. And the net is off its moorings again. Huron Skyline changes lines. So does Grosse Pointe. Face-off will be outside of the Grosse Pointe end. Far face-off circle. Puck drop. Battle for it. Back into the Grosse Pointe end. Rimmed around by Ann Arbor. Race for it in the near corner. Shot back out in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Ann Arbor and shot back in. Ann Arbor touches up. Grosse Pointe has it back in the Ann Arbor zone. Here they come. Along the far boards. Lost it. Centers it up. Ann Arbor grabs it. Off the thing. And covered up by Dion. Face off in the Ann Arbor end. With 5:35 left in the game. In the critical third period. Grosse Pointe 2. The Huskies of Huron Skyline 1. Dropped. Battle for it. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Centers it up. Dribbles out into the neutral zone. Chased down. Shot back into the Ann Arbor zone. Chased down by Ann Arbor and shot back out in the neutral zone. Grabbed just at the blue line by Grosse Pointe. Battle for it in the neutral zone. Grosse Pointe brings it in. A shot but blocked. Now along the boards in the back. Grosse Pointe tries to a centering pass knocked away. Knocked the length of the ice. And that will be icing. 4:53 left in the third. Grosse Pointe 2. Huron Skyline 1. A discussion at the Ann Arbor bench. Face off in the Ann Arbor zone. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Shot from the point, blocked and picked up by Ann Arbor. Here they come. Grab into the Grosse Pointe end, far corner. Grosse Pointe grabs it, brings it out. Tries to bring it out. Held in by Ann Arbor at the point. Down along the boards. and centered up and back in the neutral zone in the Ann Arbor end, gathered up. Here comes Ann Arbor forward again. Into the Grosse Pointe end, but grabbed by Grosse Pointe, held in. Ann Arbor grabs it along the boards in the far corner. Centering pass, shot, knocked, blocked. Another shot just over the bar. Grosse Pointe knocks it away. Ann Arbor grabs it behind the goal. Tries for a wraparound. Out in front, and they score! So at 3:50, Ann Arbor goal. And it's now all knotted up at 2 apiece. Scored by number 7. .350 left in the third. All knotted up at 2. The winner faces University Liggett on Saturday at 2 o'clock. We will have that game for you. Face-offs at neutral ice, grabbed by Ann Arbor. Jumped on. Battle for it. Across the blue line. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Brings it around. Tries to gain the zone. Doesn't. Battle for it. And a whistle. And it would appear we have offsides. 3:32 left in this third. All knotted up at 2. Puck dropped. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. In the neutral zone. Cross ice pass into the Grosse Pointe end. Picked up by Grosse Pointe. Back in the neutral zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Shot. Knocked away by Dion. Along the boards. Back out in the neutral zone. The length of the ice. A race for it. Grosse Pointe gets there first. Knocks it back. They jump on it. Cross ice pass. Still in the Grosse Pointe end. Grosse Pointe trying to arrange. Dribbles out in the neutral zone. Picked up by Ann Arbor. Here they come. Gains the zone in the near corner. Battle for it in the near corner along the boards. Shot. Knocked away by Smith. Held in at the blue line. Shot. Another knocked away by Smith. Out by the blue line. Held in at the point. Ann Arbor battling along the boards. Another shot. Knocked away by Smith. And she covers it up. 2:13 left in the third. All knotted up at 2. The winner advances to the state finals on Saturday. The Grosse Pointe players changing lines. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end. 2:13 left. Puck drop, grabbed by Ann Arbor. Back, held in, rimmed around. Tries a centering pass. Over the stick. Back, held back in again. Behind the boards. Rimmed around by Grosse Pointe. Held in. Rink wide pass. Off the boards, held back in. And a whistle and offsides. With 1:49 left in the third. All knotted up at 2. Face off just outside the Grosse Pointe zone. Near face off circle. Puck dropped. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Shot back into the Grosse Pointe end. A race for it into the corner. Ann Arbor grabs it. Battle for it in the near circle. High and off the netting. And a whistle. So face-off will be in the near face-off circle. Grosse Pointe end. 1:31 left in regulation. All knotted up at 2. Puck drop. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Rimmed around. Held in at the point by Ann Arbor. A battle for it along the boards. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe. Into the Ann Arbor end. A race for it. And a whistle, and we have icing. So a face-off with 1:14 left in the third, all knotted up at 2 apiece. Face-off in the far face-off circle, Grosse Pointe end. Both teams getting ready. And timeout is taken by Ann Arbor. Well, Grosse Pointe scored 2 in the first. Nobody managed to score in the second. Ann Arbor evened it up with a goal at 11:26, scored by number 22, Hodge. And then at 3:50, an Ann Arbor goal scored by number 7, and that's Hung. Both teams gathered around their bench. We have 1:14 left in regulation. The winner faces University Liggett at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Meanwhile, both teams talking with their coaches. We have 1:14 left in regulation. A whistle. And the teams are still gathered around their benches. Another whistle. Here come the teams. Well, back to their benches. And a third whistle. 1:14 left in regulation, all knotted up at 2. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor holds it in, tries for a shot. Coming down, jumped on by Grosse Pointe. Loses it. Ann Arbor grabs it away. Here comes the Huskies. Into the Grosse Pointe end. Rims around. Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Tries to shoot it back. Held in. Back in the neutral zone. Ann Arbor knocks it back in. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe. And a whistle. And I believe we have offsides. We have 41.3 seconds left in regulation. 41.3 seconds, all knotted up at 2. Ann Arbor grabs it back into the Grosse Pointe end. Along the far boards, Ann Arbor grabs it. Centering pass, shot, knocked away by Smith. Scrum for it, Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Tries to get it out into the neutral zone. Into Ann Arbor end. 18 seconds left. Picked up by Ann Arbor. Behind their goal. Brought forward. Out into the neutral zone. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe. 6 seconds left. In regulation. Off the boards. And there's the whistle. So at the end of 3 periods, Grosse Pointe South 2. Ann Arbor's Huron Skyline 2. And both teams retreat to their locker rooms. We will go to overtime. Meanwhile, out comes the Zamboni. We'll play some music. We will be back for the all-important overtime period. And welcome back to Eddie Edgar Ice Arena, where we are about to have 8 minutes of overtime. The Grosse Pointe South has scored 2 in the first. Nobody scored in the second. Huron Skyline came back with 2 in the third, and we're all knotted up. 8 minutes up on the board. The winner faces University Liggett at 2 p.m. on Saturday. The refs are out on the ice checking some of the little chunks of ice left by the Zamboni. The Skyline Huron group is back out on their bench. The South girls are ready to take the ice too. Both nets been reinstalled, and we're ready to go with overtime. Here come the teams. Now, while it's all knotted up at 2, I believe Ann Arbor has more shots on goal, but Smith has been up to it. Both goalies have let 2 in. And here we go in the final 8 minutes to determine the semifinal championship. Both teams gathered around their benches. All knotted up at 2 with 8 minutes up on the board. Period number 4. And out come the teams. Smith skates down to my right. Dion down to my left. And we are getting ready for overtime. And the puck grabbed by the Huskies, knocked into the Grosse Pointe end. Off the boards, picked up by Grosse Pointe behind their goal. Battle for it. Knocked back out, held in at the point. Shot by by Huron. Skyline. Ann Arbor grabs it. Out to the point. Shot. Knocked away by Smith. Another one. And loose and knocked away. And it appears that the net is off the moorings. There was a whistle, no goals. Face-off will be in the far face-off circle. Grosse Pointe end. We have 7:26 left in the first. Puck loose, jumped on by Grosse Pointe, behind the goal, around the rim. Held in by the Huskies. Grosse Pointe grabs it behind their goal, rims it around, knocked back by the Huskies. Back out, Ann Arbor grabs it, tries to center it up. Centering pass, held in at the point, or held in at the slot, and into the near corner. Picked up by Ann Arbor again. Still in the Grosse Pointe end. Battle for it along the boards. Behind the goal. Held in. Sent back around. Ann Arbor still has it. Centering pass out in front and saved by Smith. Knocked away. Grosse Pointe grabs it again behind their goal, trying to clear the zone. Held in at the point. Battle for it, still held in. And grabbed by Ann Arbor again. Centers it up, grabbed it the slot, now along the side. Battle for it along the boards. Back around, Ann Arbor grabs it, tries to center it up, knocked away by Smith again. Knocked off Smith's pad save. And back the length, but right on the Ann Arbor goal. Picked up. Here they come again. Grabbed in the neutral zone by Grosse Pointe, trying to bring it down into the Ann Arbor zone. A race for it along the boards. Knocked away. Ann Arbor knocks it out. A shot knocked away by Dion. And a shot back into the neutral zone. Jumped on by Ann Arbor. Shot covered up by Smith. A discussion between the ref and two of the Ann Arbor players. No penalties. Puck drop. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Knocked back. Held in at the point. Back around the boards. Jumped on by the Grosse Pointe defense. Brought out in the neutral zone. Shot back off the boards. Picked up by Grosse Pointe. Held back in the neutral zone and back on the Grosse Pointe end. Off the boards. Grosse Pointe knocking it back. Still held in. And rimmed around the boards by Ann Arbor. Along the near corner. Ann Arbor battle for it. Brought out. Stolen away. Battle for it. Shot from the point. Another Ann Arbor picks it up again. Ridden off the puck. Battle for it. Out in the neutral zone. Held in by Ann Arbor. Sent back in. Rimmed around. Picked up by Grosse Pointe behind their goal. We have 4:26 left in the fourth. In overtime. Back around. Grabbed by Ann Arbor behind. Out front. Scrum for it. And no goal. Went right through the crease. Battle for it along the far boards. Held in at the point by Ann Arbor. Here they come again. Shot. Bounced off a bunch of skates. Behind the goal. All sorts of people down. And we have cross-checking. So penalty. Penalty at 3:55. Cross-checking is the penalty. And into the box goes number 8 for Ann Arbor, Kennedy Marks. So Grosse Pointe is now on the power play with 3:55 left, sudden death overtime. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Grosse Pointe on the power play. Shot, another shot, knocked away by Dion. Another shot, dribbles behind the goal. Grabbed by Ann Arbor, shot picked up again. Tries to bring it around. Centering pass, no one there. Knocked away by Ann Arbor. Held in at the point by Grosse Pointe. Shot, Ann Arbor grabs it. Knocks it out in the neutral zone. Shot back in the Ann Arbor zone. Rims around. 1:22 left in the power play. Out in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Knocked back into Grosse Pointe zone. 1:09 left in the power play. Grosse Pointe trying to bring it back out of their zone. Held in by Ann Arbor. A collision. Back out in the neutral zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Grab, gains the Ann Arbor zone. Off the boards behind the goal. Ann Arbor grabs it. Loses an edge. And there is a tripping call. So at 2:39, number 8 for Grosse Pointe, Peabody, goes in for tripping. So we have 45 seconds left of 4-on-4. Face off in Grosse Pointe end. All knotted up at 2. Puck dropped. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Fed back. Shot. Off a player. Behind the goal. Scrum for it. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Brought around. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Bringing it down. Grains the Ann Arbor zone. Off the boards. In the back. Behind the goal. Battle for it. 20 seconds left in 4-on-4. Centering up. Battle scrum in front of the goal and covered up by Dion. $12 left in 4-on-4. 2:06 left in the fourth period. All knotted up at 2. Face off in the Ann Arbor zone. 4-on-4 hockey. 12 seconds. Ann Arbor gets the face off. Knocked back out. Held out. Shot from the point. Bounced off. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Down into the Grosse Pointe end. Off the far boards. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe behind their goal. A race for it. Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor on the power play. A race for the puck in the Ann Arbor zone. And a shot and a covered up by Dion, but an Ann Arbor player hit the boards and is slow to get up. It appears to be number 21 for Ann Arbor, and that's Abby Cullen. There's 1 minute left. Ann Arbor on the power play. 1:39 left in the period. And the teams, there is a timeout. So at 1:39 left in the period, 1 minute left in the power play to Ann Arbor. 2-2 is our score in overtime here at Eddie Edgar Ice Arena in Livonia. The winner faces University Liggett on Saturday. Both teams gathered around their bench. You can't have a more exciting finish. Grosse Pointe on period number 1. It was very even in period number 2. Ann Arbor scored 2 and 3 in period number 3. We're all knotted up. Both teams have had a power play. Face off will be in the Grosse Pointe end. No, in the Ann Arbor end, I'm sorry. Here we go. Face off in the Ann Arbor end. Dion skates to my left. Smith to my right. Face off to Dion's left in the far face-off circle. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off behind the goal. Bringing it back out into the neutral zone. Here comes Ann Arbor. A race for it. Grabbed by Livonia, or Grosse Pointe. Held in at the point by Ann Arbor. And a shot. And a glove save by Smith. 42 seconds left in the power play. 1:20 left 1:20 left in the period. Face off. Ann Arbor grabs it. Shot behind the goal. Rimmed around. Picked up by Ann Arbor. Shot back around. Brought back centering pass. Held in at the far point. Rimmed back around. Ann Arbor has it. Ann Arbor still on the power play. Shot into the near corner. 21 seconds left in the power play. Shot off the boards. In the back. Knocked out. Centering pass right through. Shot back. Knocked away by Grosse Pointe. 3 seconds left in the power play. Grosse Pointe's at full strength. 35 seconds left. Knocked away by Dion, who loses an edge, falls down. Grabs it, covers up. We have 28.2 seconds left. Both teams change. All knotted up at 4. Or at 2, I'm sorry. Fourth period. Face off in the Ann Arbor end. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Knocked back. Brought down. Held in by Grosse Pointe. Battle for it. Ann Arbor grabs it again. Over the blue line, into the neutral zone. Back into the Grosse Pointe zone. In the near corner. In the near corner again, loose puck. And there's the buzzer.
No ice, another 8 minutes after 2 minutes.
So it appears we're going to have more overtime. Both teams gather around their bench. I don't believe the Zamboni will come out. We have 8 more minutes up on the board. We are all knotted up at 2. Both goalies have been fantastic in their creases, and thus we are even. Each team gathered around their bench trying to figure out how they can win this semifinal game. We will bring you the final at 2 o'clock on Saturday from this Eddie Edgar Rink number A.
Saturdays at USA Hockey.
Oh, I apologize. Saturday is at USA Hockey. I apologize. Nonetheless, we will find out who will play the second, who will be the other team. Face off at center ice. Both goalies skate down to their nets. And here we go. Overtime, second period. Grabbed by Livonia, shot back. Ann Arbor grabs it in the Livonia, or the Grosse Pointe end, pardon me. Off the boards. Back out in the neutral zone. Grosse Pointe has it. A battle. Ridden off. Knocked away by Dion. Behind the goal. Centered up. Knocked away by Ann Arbor. Off the boards and into the Grosse Pointe end. Grosse Pointe picks it up behind their goal. Brings it out back into the neutral zone. Off the boards. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Knocked away by Dion. Grabbed by Ann Arbor again. Loses an edge along the boards. Battle for it along the boards in front of the Ann Arbor bench. Quite the battle. They're still fighting for it. Puck is finally loose. Knocked away by Ann Arbor. Back into the neutral zone. Brought back by Grosse Pointe. Grosse Pointe tries for a shot. Drop pass. Knocked away by Dion. Into the far corner and a whistle. And we have a penalty. So at 6:35, number 28, and for Ann Arbor in the box, Aubrey Wells. Face off in the Ann Arbor end. Ann Arbor on the penalty kill. Grosse Pointe on the advantage. Knocked back. Grosse Pointe cleared. Clearing pass by Ann Arbor. All the way to the boards behind the Grosse Pointe goal. 6:23 left in the fifth period. Second overtime. Ann Arbor has it. Knocked away. Centered it up. Across the rink. Off the boards. Back in the neutral zone. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Brought back in the Grosse Pointe end. Grosse Pointe on the power play with the man advantage. Knocked back. Shot. Right over the goal. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe, brought back out in the neutral zone, held in by Ann Arbor again. Here comes Ann Arbor, tied up, behind the goal, behind Grosse Pointe's goal. Here comes Ann Arbor. Knocked down, and a whistle. We have 56 seconds left in the power play by Grosse Pointe. However, penalty at 5:31. Number 10. So we have 4-on-4 hockey for 56 seconds. Puck dropped, grabbed by Grosse Pointe, but a battle held in by Ann Arbor in the Grosse Pointe end, but Grosse Pointe jumps on it. Gains the Ann Arbor zone, ridden off the puck, knocked away by Dion. Battle for it along the boards. Shot, knocked away along the boards. Knocked by Ann Arbor, held in at the point by Grosse Pointe. A shot behind the goal, off the boards. Grosse Pointe grabs it on the near boards. Battle for it along the boards. Picked up by Ann Arbor, brought back. Down into the neutral zone. Here comes Ann Arbor. Into the Grosse Pointe zone, but knocked back. Picked up by Ann Arbor again. Brought in. Trying to center it up. And a shot, and another shot, and a save into the far corner. 1 minute left in the power play. Around behind the goal. Ann Arbor on the power play. 4:23 left. A battle for it along the boards. Near boards. Ann Arbor grabs it, held in. Shot from the far point, knocked away by Smith. Behind the goal, tries for a wraparound, back around. Picked up by Grosse Pointe. Brings it out in the neutral zone, over the blue line, knocked back into the Grosse Pointe end. 21 seconds left in the power play. Shot back out, held in by Ann Arbor. Shot, grabbed by the Grosse Pointe goalie Smith. 10 seconds left in the power play. All knotted up at 2 with 3:40 left in the second overtime. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end. Ann Arbor on the power play. Ann Arbor grabs it. Held in at the point, near point. Back around, rimmed around. Ann Arbor knocks it back. Fight for it in the near corner. Ann Arbor grabs it, brings it around. Scrum for it in the front. Pulled away by Grosse Pointe. Out, held back in by Ann Arbor. Both teams at full strength. Rimmed around. Ann Arbor has it on the near boards in the Grosse Pointe end. Back to the corner. Ann Arbor centering pass knocked away. Right out in front, knocked off. Smith knocks it away. Into the near corner. A race for it. Shot. Jumped on by Grosse Pointe. Grosse Pointe brings it down. Ridden off the puck. Into the near corner behind the Ann Arbor goal. Rimmed around. Along the far corner. Far boards. Jumped on by Ann Arbor. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Back into the Ann Arbor zone. Along the near corner. Behind the goal. Picked up by Ann Arbor again. Both teams at full strength. 2:25 left. Back. Shot back. Battle for it in the neutral zone. Ann Arbor grabs it, brings it in, knocked away. Into the near corner in the Grosse Pointe end. Battle for it in the corner. Brought back out by Grosse Pointe. Into the neutral zone. Lost it. Ann Arbor missed it. Back. Grosse Pointe has it, brings it back over their blue line. Held in at the point. Grosse Pointe tries to bring it back out. Back in the neutral zone again. Grabbed by Ann Arbor. Here they come. Gains the zone. One person to beat. Shot. Just wide, just off the post. Back the length of the ice, and that should be icing. We have 1:31 left in the second overtime. All knotted up at 2. Face off in the Grosse Pointe end. A 1:31 left. Face off to the Smith's left, and timeout called. Both teams skate to their benches. 1:31 left in second overtime. Somebody needs to win. They will meet at USA Hockey. My apologies, I was in error. They will meet at 2 o'clock, USA Hockey in Plymouth. Who will represent this bracket? Both teams discussing strategy at their benches. 1:31 left. And a whistle from the refs. Here we go. Huron Skyline breaks their huddle. Dion skates down to my right. Face-off is in the Grosse Pointe end. Smith skates down to patrol her crease. Both teams Face-off grab by Ann Arbor. And shot back. Shot centering pass. Grab by Grosse Pointe. Held in at the point by Ann Arbor. Around the near corner. Back out. Grab by Ann Arbor again. Back out in the neutral zone. On edge all the way down. And we have icing. We now have 1:07 left in the second overtime. All knotted up at 2. Face-off back in the Grosse Pointe end. Near face-off circle. The fans cheering on their teams. Here. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off. Shot. Knocked away by Smith again. Another centering pass. Knocked away and shot. Knocked away by Smith. Pad save. Behind the goal. Battle for it. Around into the near corner. Shot out. No icing. Around behind the Ann Arbor goal. Battle for it. Ann Arbor grabs it. Back out in the neutral zone. We have 30 seconds left. Length of the ice, we have icing. 27.6 seconds. This time, face-off will be in the Ann Arbor end. To the left of Dion. .6 seconds left, all knotted up. Ann Arbor grabs the face-off, rims it around. Along the far boards, down into the Grosse Pointe end. Picked up by Grosse Pointe, brought behind their goal. Held it back into the neutral zone. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Knocked away. In the far corner. Battle for it behind the goal. Ann Arbor goal, and there's the buzzer. We are still knotted up at 2 with 2 overtimes.
Zamboni this time. Zamboni.
We are going to have the Zamboni to resurface the ice. So I am going to play some music, and we will be back with the third overtime. And we are back from Eddie Edgar Ice Arena here in Livonia, Michigan. Starting the third overtime period, 8 minutes up on the board. Both teams knotted up at 2. It's sudden death. The winner plays University Liggett on Saturday at 2 o'clock. And my apologies, I was not paying attention. It will be at USA Hockey. We will, however, broadcast that game. Out comes the Grosse Pointe players. Huron Skyline has arrived at their benches. We are ready for the third overtime. Sudden death. We will continue till somebody manages to score. Basically, both teams have played, if you will, played their guts out. They're doing as much as they can. The question is, really, who will make a mistake? Huron Skyline has more shots on goal, but both goalies have saved all but 2. Both teams' fans cheering on. Grosse Pointe to my left, the Huron Skyline fans to my right. Out come the teams. Grosse Pointe skates down to my left. Huron Skyline to my right, and they've decided to change. Nobody can, I think we got it figured out. Ann Arbor defends the left goal. Grosse Pointe the right goal. And the puck drops, grabbed by Grosse Pointe. Grabbed on, then intercepted. Chipped back into the Ann Arbor zone, picked up by Grosse Pointe. In the near corner. Picked up again, Grosse Pointe, off the boards, into the near corner. Fight for it, in the corner. Back out, picked up by Ann Arbor. Here they come. Into the Grosse Pointe zone, gains the zone along the near boards. Grabbed by Grosse Pointe. 2 players collide. No whistles, but a Grosse Pointe girl is down. And a whistle. 7:13 left. We don't want to see anybody injured. Coach is out to check on them. Again, 2-2, 7:13. I'm going to play some more music. We will be back. Young lady is back on her skates being helped off the ice. Again, we never want to see any of these amazing athletes injured. .7:13 left in the third overtime. Face-off will be right in front of us, just outside the Ann Arbor zone. Smith skates down to my right. Dion to my left. 5-on-5 hockey. And the puck squirts back into the Huron Ann Arbor end. Huron Skyline end. Picked up by Ann Arbor. Brought into the Grosse Pointe end. Brought around. Around behind. A shot. Just wide. Wrap around. Held out. Knocked away by Smith. Picked up. Held in at the far point. Knocked back by Ann Arbor. In the near corner. Or far corner. Back around. Tries the centering pass. Bounced off the back of the net. Along the boards. Ann Arbor player lost an edge. Battle for it. Here comes Grosse Pointe. Into the Ann Arbor end. Knocked away. And a score. And Grosse Pointe wins at 6:15. So with 16:15 left in the third overtime, Grosse Pointe managed to score. Therefore, 3, Grosse Pointe 3, and Huron Skyline 2. Thank you very, very much for watching and being with us. This is James Wiseman. My camera person, Christina Wiseman. We will be back on Saturday from USA Hockey with the finals. Have a good evening.